Welcome to 6 Minutes. On this episode, Tory Lanez is in more hot water, Pierre and Justin are at each other's throats, Jordan Peterson blasts the CPO on Rogan, new music, and so much more. I'm your host, Georgie. Let's get ready to these stories. Toronto needs to stop the violence. The big story in Toronto this week is the astonishing amount of senseless violence happening on the TTC. Check out this TikTok showing a video from the TPS Twitter documenting the number of attacks just on the TTC alone. Major crime is up 37% this January compared to the same time last January, and the crime rate is the highest it's been in 5 years. In response to the recent crime, the Toronto Police Service say they are increasing police presence on the TTC. They will be paying off-duty officers overtime to perform the task. They caught the real estate fraudsters. A couple weeks ago, we learned about a Toronto home that had been bought and sold without the actual homeowner's knowledge. 3 people have been charged after allegedly trying to access the funds from the sale. News has since been released that recently at least 30 homes in the Greater Toronto Area have either been sold or mortgaged without the real owner's knowledge. CBC Toronto believes that a handful of organized crime groups are behind this real estate fraud. The TPS are encouraging residents to take steps to protect their property. Many, including the victims, are pushing for stricter real estate rules. Tory Lanez is in more hot water this week. Some of you may remember this incident in 2019 at Live nightclub in Miami. In this clip, Tory appears to swing on Love and Hip Hop actor Christopher Michael Hardy, aka Prince. The two allegedly got into another physical altercation 1 year later at another nightclub in Miami. Prince later sued Tory over the altercations, which was settled outside of court. But wait, Prince has just asked the court to throw out the alleged settlement he signed with Tory Lanez, claiming he was forced to sign it after showing up to a meeting with Tory and a man off to the side with a gun. Tory and his lawyers have yet to speak on the situation. Tory remains behind bars after being found guilty of shooting Megan Thee Stallion. Tory's sentencing is scheduled for February 28th. Tensions have been building between Justin Trudeau and Pierre Poilievre this past week. The two have been known to have some exhilarating back and forths in caucus and have been at each other's necks publicly all week.
And while we were doing all this work last year, Mr. Poilievre was out talking about how we should all invest in Bitcoin to opt out of inflation after he watched videos on YouTube about it. Now,
look around you. Crime is raging out of control in our streets. Our people are desperate that they'll have to lose their homes because of rising inflation and interest rates the government promised would never happen. Everything feels broken. Oh, I just offended Justin Trudeau.
The two continue to feud amongst a looming 2025 election. Are you on Justin's side of this or are you on Pierre's side of this? Let me know down in the comment sections below. Trigger warning, this may be a liberal's worst nightmare. Jordan Peterson was on the latest episode of the Joe Rogan podcast. In this interview, Peterson went into depth on his current situation with the College of Psychologists of Ontario.
You know, leave me the hell alone, guys. You've been on my case nonstop for 7 years. Not once before that. In 20 years of practice, there's no complaints ever levied against me. It wasn't until I started to become, relatively well-known publicly that the college came after me. And 7 years of that gets to be a bit much, especially now that there's 13 lawsuits compiled up and all of them are for political opinions and half of them have been put forward on false grounds.
There is no word yet on what the CPO will do about Jordan and his psychology license, knowing that he refuses this mandatory retraining. Stay tuned to 6 Minutes for more updates on this story. Link to the full podcast will be in the bio. New music this week. On January 26th, Casper TNG dropped Know Me Part 2. Check this one out.
I just smashed my spider with my rollie. I hopped in the Porsche and that story. Homie, can you please fall back if you don't know me? Riding with that 40, smoking on your OG.
On January 27th, Teddy Bear dropped Life Ruiner EP. This is the title track, Life Ruiner. Check this one out.
A growing difference in you. Dismissal, expected, a missile. It's seeking directed.
And last but not least, on January 24th, Cindy dropped I Started Smoking Cigarettes. This is a fun one. Check this one out.
I started smoking cigarettes because of you. I might as well since I nailed all of your shit too. Lies come out your mouth, you spilling gasoline. I shouldn't breathe but smell so fucking good to me.
All music heard in these episodes can be found on the Showcase Toronto Spotify playlist. OG Anunoby is out with a wrist injury as Toronto takes on Dame Lillard and the Trailblazers tonight in Portland. The Raptors' West Coast road trip has them facing off tonight against a Portland team that has won 2 straight games. Damian Lillard is coming off a 60-point night in the Trailblazers' win against the Utah Jazz on Wednesday. The Raptors are 7-16 on the road and are the underdogs going into tonight's game. Raptors currently sit in 12th place in the Eastern Conference. And that's it for this episode of 6 Minutes. Please like, comment, subscribe, and be sure to tune into next week's episode. One love.